heater's going. Oh, it stopped. I was about to say, I don't think I care, but I do care. Hey, here are my 25 books for 2025. These are just 25 of the ones that I'm kind of prioritizing for this year. We'll start with my physical TBR. Again, this is not all the books on my physical TBR, but first up is Michigan vs. the Boys. I picked this up last summer and I've been waiting to read it, so I think January is gonna be the perfect time because, you know, hockey, winter. I don't really know much about this book, but I love a hockey book every year. I have to read a hockey book. It's about a girl who is on the girls' hockey team, but the girls' hockey team gets cut, so she has to join the boys' hockey team. Oh, it's hazing, but it's actually assault. Happy Place. Yes, I know she's gonna have a new book come out and I'm gonna have 3 to read, but this is the only one I own, okay? I want them in paperback. I heard people either Happy Place is your favorite or it's your least favorite, and I think it's just because from what I've heard, it's different, a little bit different than all her other books. I know this one's about more of a group than just 2 people, so that's interesting. I'm gonna hold on to this one probably until summer, because look at that, that's summer. I feel like Emily Henry only has summer in mind when she's writing. I'm a fan. This one is a shorter book. It just kind of follows, I believe, fandom culture and the goods, but the bads and the uglies that can come from fandom culture. Fandom culture is so interesting to me, one, because I'm in fandom culture, but also just because of the mania and the obsessive nature it follows. I listened to Cultish a few years ago, and obviously that talks about, you know, like real life cults, but also goes a little bit into fandom culture as well, and how, especially in today's age, that behavior is just so common and can be pushed to extremes so fast. So I'm very interested to give this one a read. This is a novel though, it's not nonfiction. The Wolf Den. I actually started reading this one in November, but then stopped because I wanted to read Little Women, which I'm still reading because I underestimated how long that would take me. This is historical fiction set in Pompeii, which I love Pompeii. A group of ladies who work in, is brothel the right word? Or how they call them, wolf dens. I think it's going to be kind of like a rebellion. Like, I think they're going to end up kind of fighting back. You know, they were once at such different points of society, but now they are kind of looked down on and treated as trash. Some of them, you know, grew up really rich and in powerful families, but now this is their lives. And especially, you know, in this time in ancient Greece, you know, normal women didn't have a lot of power, let alone the woman in the wolf dens. Not very far. Depending on when I read it, I'm gonna have to start over, but that's okay. I want to finish this one this year. The God of the Woods. This was a book of the month pick that I saw a lot of people talk about. Right away I was like, I gotta read that. I need to read that. It is about a summer camp. A murder or something adjacent takes place at the summer camp, and so it's just trying to figure that out. It was so hard to track down because everyone was reading it. Couldn't find it at the bookstore. And then I checked online to see if anywhere else had it, and everyone else didn't have it, or I was gonna have to order it online. I went to Target and it was like a beam of light was in the book aisle, and like I could hear a choir singing, and I was just like, I almost screamed because I was so excited, and it was half off, so that was great for me. Black Cake. I tried to read this one this past year and I was just entering a book slump, so it was just so hard for me to get through any pages. I was not caring about what I was reading, and I was like, I need to stop reading Black Cake because otherwise I'm gonna be hate reading it. And I've heard incredible things about this book. The heater is back. I want to like it, so I was like, I need to stop before I'm just reading it out of spite. I'm 22 pages in, so I will probably just restart this. The Red Pyramid. This is the first book in the Kane Chronicles series. This is the only series I haven't read by Rick, because look at me. I'm a Percy Jackson kid. I did read about half of this book in 7th grade because I didn't have a book for SSR day, so I just grabbed this one off the shelf. So I have read half this book. I only remember that their names are Sadie and Carter, and obviously it's Egypt, but also I love ancient Egypt, so like I know I'm gonna eat this up, because Egyptian mythology in ancient Egypt just, that was my thing. That was my thing. And I think part of me hasn't read it, so that way I can be like, I still have one more series. I still have one more series. I'm also in the middle of rereading Heroes of Olympus. So we'll see, because I don't want to get them like confused. Perks-Being a Wallflower. Read this book in 8th grade. I am due for a reread. It's Perks-Being a Wallflower, you know, like what can I say about it? I think it's always good to kind of go back and reread books that you read when you were younger. If you haven't gone back and read The Hunger Games, Caraval, I've seen this one a lot. Speaking of The Hunger Games, and that's kind of what it reminds me of, is Hunger Games adjacent, you know, like it's kind of like a contest game, but like with a dark side. And I love that. I really don't know anything about this book. I know it's a series. I didn't realize it's been out for a few years. I thought this was like a 2020-ish book, but I think this was published in 2017. Yeah, 2017. I was still in high school when this came out. I love this cover. Like, that's so pretty. I don't think the other ones really match it, which kind of pisses me off, but yeah. Next, I have On the Other Side by Carrie Hope Fletcher. Carrie Hope Fletcher is an author, but also a West End actress and a YouTuber, and I have been watching her videos since I was like 11. She is my internet big sister. What about it? For some reason, America likes to not print British books, so I've never been able to find them. I want to know what Carrie's author voice is. The only other book I read of hers was All I Know Now. I know what her like memoir voice is, but she was so young when she was my age, if not a little younger, when she wrote that. I want to know what her like fiction voice is, right, in her storytelling. I do know about Carrie is that she likes to add just like a little hint of magical realism into her stories. My next book is Clara and the Sun. This was one I saw a lot on the internet a few years ago. I feel like when books were not making a comeback. That sounds so dumb. But like, you know, when everyone was in COVID and everyone started reading again, I think this is one that I saw a lot about. I'm trying to read more fiction because I love me some YA and some cheesy ass romance, because I get so invested in them and then I read them so fast. But I do want to read more fiction this year. I got this book for $1. That's crazy. I don't have any more thoughts anymore. I just want to read it. My next one is Interior Chinatown. I think I picked this up around this time last year because look at that cover. Like, that is beautiful. I just loved the colors. I loved the design. And then it sounded really interesting. I think now I opened Hulu or Disney Plus or something. I think this is a movie or a show, which I did not know because I'd never heard anything about it. I just picked it up and I read the back and I was like, oh, that sounds good. And that's a dope ass cover. I'm sorry, I do judge a book by its cover. I'm a graphic designer. I like reading about fame, whether it be like celebrities or like influencer fame. I think it's very interesting, especially to see the different takes people have on it and to see how characters handle fame. The Martian, I know, it's the movie cover. Okay, I'll give you 2 seconds to boo and to throw tomatoes at me. Okay, we're done. I got this for free, so that's why. I read Project Hail Mary last year, and I really liked it. I've been wanting to read The Martian since high school, since the movie came out. I think Andy Weir. I don't know why I stuttered over Andy when that was not the word that I wasn't sure how to pronounce. But I think his writing, from what I've seen in The Martian, is very scientific, but also very understandable, which I think is a very interesting combination. He doesn't make you feel dumb, but he's also like, this guy is smart. And that's a very hard balance, I feel like, for characters and for authors to put into their stories. All I know about this is he grows potatoes. So those are all of my physical TBR books. And now I'm going to go into my anticipated reads. 2 of these books I have placed on pre-order, so they will be on my physical TBR, but I just don't have them yet because they have not been released to me. Give me the books! Whoa! I've been watching a lot of Brittany Broski. Can you tell I love the Broski Report? Remember how I talked about Hunger Games earlier? The next book I want to read this year is Sunrise on the Reaping. If you've been living under a rock, there's a new Hunger Games book coming out, and it's Haymitch's story. When Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes came out, I was pissed because I was like, I don't care about Snow. Obviously I read it. Obviously I ate part of it up. She could write just a story about every single character that's been mentioned and I would buy them all. Why are we focusing on Snow? I want to see Haymitch's story, and we're getting it. Y'all, Haymitch has been through so much. My hope for this book is that I really want it to kind of highlight his first year as a mentor, and we focus on that, and then obviously they don't win, and what that does to Haymitch as a mentor, and also having him relive his trauma through the games by being a mentor. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I can't even put my thoughts into words because I'm just so excited. There's 24-ish years between him winning his games and the Katniss and Peeta's games. That means there were nearly 50 victors that he was mentoring that he had to see die. I just want that to be included. The first few start off and we get these descriptions of this is what this character is like, this is what it's like, Haymitch did this, this, and this. And then as it goes on, he's like, they don't have a fucking chance. And then it gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Eventually it becomes like you're just reading like sports stats, like placed 4th, placed 10th. And I want it to end at Katniss's Reaping. And I want it to be like, things are gonna be different this year. I have so many thoughts about this book. I'm so excited. Now I just need Phoenix. Please, for the love of God. I got a little worked up there. Sorry, this video got 10 times longer because I talked about the Hunger Games. Another book that I have pre-ordered, which comes out the same day as the Hunger Games book. March 18th, about to go crazy, y'all. Calling off work. But that is John Green's Everything is Tuberculosis. If you're like, why the heck is John Green writing a book, a nonfiction book about tuberculosis? All I have to say is, where have you been? You only read John Green's YA books. I watch Vlogbrothers religiously. We are not the same. And John's been talking about tuberculosis nonstop for the past couple of years. I know tuberculosis hates to see John Green coming. I just really hope that this book does what he wants and helps change the conversation about tuberculosis and tuberculosis treatments. John Green could literally write a grocery list and I would be like, this is the most poetic thing I've ever read in my entire life. I'm so excited about it because I think Anthropocene Reviewed showed that he's just obviously not just a great storyteller, but he's just a great writer. I know this has been a very big passion project of his, so I will be reading. I hope that I can get the audiobook to listen to on Libby because I want to do both and kind of listen while I read. I've literally been on his live streams where he's signing the books for this, so pre-ordered. Hopefully that means I get a signed book, so I will lose my shit. My next release for this year is the Starfire graphic novel. I've read all the other Teen Titan graphic novels and Starfire comes out this year and I don't really have much else to say about it. I just really love Gabriel's art style. I also like seeing them be teens. I think that's something we lose a lot in superhero books, but also just like YA in general, when like teens have so much responsibility, is that we lose them being kids and that they're friends. Right now we have only had Robin, Beast Boy, and Raven. So we haven't met Starfire or Cyborg yet. I love the Teen Titans. My next want to read is Haikyuu, Volume 1 manga. I have not read a manga in years. Like elementary school. I also have not finished Haikyuu the show. I was watching it. I think I was on season 2 and then I just stopped. I feel like I should read this one. At least just a volume. You know, like what's it gonna hurt? And we'll see if I like it and I want to continue it and if it'll make me finish the show. I love a sports anime. That's all there is about that. I used to read mangas all the time when I was little, especially the Maximum Ride mangas. Oh, I ate those up. I also ate up Maximum Ride, but like I was like, I'll consume everything. My next want to read, I think, is going to be an audiobook. It's The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs. You might be like, huh? So this is the type of stuff I love listening to the audiobooks of because it's just like a video essay. And it's just somebody's gonna tell me a lot about dinosaurs and I'm gonna be sad. And guess what? I'm gonna be sad. Actually, I'll probably be on a walk, but you know, I'm sad. Mentally, I am sad. Oh my god, I've been talking for 30 minutes. I listened to Eve last year, which I think is gonna be like a very similar history of animals. I just saw it one day and I was like, I want that. So we're gonna listen to it. Next book is Anne of Green Gables. Each year I try to at least like be like, I'm gonna read this classic this year. Last year it was Little Women and I am still reading it. Did watch during quarantine Anne with an E, and I really like that. Obviously it's just so beautiful. I know there's a lot of Anne of Green Gables books, but I think I'm just gonna try to read the first one. Similar with Little Women, I'm only reading the first one. Just something I feel like everyone should be like, oh yeah, I've read Anne of Green Gables. Because I know a lot of classics, sometimes it's like, my brain hurts! What is this language you're speaking? Little Women and Anne of Green Gables, I feel like are very consumable. And that's important to me with classics because, oh boy, my brain doesn't always be working sometimes. My next book is Gwen and Art Are Not in Love. I don't know much about this book, but I know it's a YA, not retelling, but kind of takes the Gwen and King Arthur trope and kind of spins it a little bit. One thing about me is I love Arthurian legend. One of my favorite books growing up was Avalon High. I watched Merlin. Literally, that's all you would have to tell me, and I'd be like, and I'm sad. And I'm sad. Next one is a memoir. It says Know My Name. From what I've heard of this book, it's about her experience, I believe at an Ivy League or a prestigious college. And I think it's about her experience being assaulted and how the school kind of tried to cover it up, which unfortunately is something that still happens and schools still do. I heard about this book when I was in college, and so I was like, this feels very fitting for me to read, but I just haven't read it yet. So I really want to read this one. My next book is Floodmarked, which is the sequel of the Legendborn series. Again, I love Arthurian legend. I did read Legendborn 2 years ago. Oh my god, that book was long. Like, I was flying through it, but I also wasn't. I'm just not sure how much of it I remember specifically. I don't want to reread it. I think I just want to go for the sequel and see how much I remember. I don't remember the main character's name. Oh my god, maybe I do need to read Legendborn. I think the third book comes out this year though. I probably won't get to that. Next is If I Had Your Face. This I think is fiction. I don't think it's a memoir. It is about beauty standards specifically in South Korea. Obviously it's a big deal in the United States here too, beauty standards for women and plastic surgery and all that. But I think also, like, especially within South Korea, that's also a very big issue that they are seeing is regarding beauty standards. Asian literature is so interesting to me because it just has such a different focus than like Americanized literature. I feel like American literature is about all these big grand stories that we can tell, and a lot of Asian literature is just looking at either something that's very like mundane, it's like this is something every day and there's still value in that, and I do think that's very interesting, and I want to read more translated fiction in general. Another book I heard about a few years ago is called The Last White Man. People wake up one day and they look different. They are a different race. I don't know if it dives into like identity and then, like, you know, what does that mean? There are so many different ways this could go that I'm very interested in seeing what happens. My 25th book for 2025 is Yellowface. This was one of my friend's favorite books in 2023. She was like, you need to read it, you need to read it. And I was like, I know. And then I didn't read it. But I don't really know anything about it. So yeah, I just want to read Yellowface. This is all over the place. I'm hungry and I'm tired. What time is it? It is time. So those are some of my books that I want to read in 2025. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you think. If you want to read any of these books, are you excited? Or what books you want to read in 2025. So, bye! These videos are gonna be bad, but that's okay, and that's why I'm filming these, because you gotta start somewhere. Am I right? Am I right?